recording. If you could spotlight Netania now.
Got it. Well, good morning, and thank you, Dorothy, for that wonderful, warm welcome. Look, it is what
Netania, I'm sorry, Netania. Could we just once? There you go. There you're spotlighted.
Thank you, Dorothy. And again, good morning to each one of you. I can hardly believe it's November. OMG, you are almost at the mid-year of your term. I say to each one of you, congratulations. Congratulations and thank you for the work that you're doing. The work that you're doing for yourself, the work you're doing for our organization, and the work that you're doing for the people around you. So look, one of the things I always like to ask is, how are you feeling? If you would take a minute, go to chat and just type in there and let me know right now, based on where you are in your respective role, whether it's in the club or in the district, how are you feeling in a word or two? I'll go check chat. All right, I see pretty good, well rested, in good shape, tired, awesome, excited, engaged, confident, alive. Oh my gracious, District 21, you are doing amazing. Hunky-dory even, interested, hopeful, good, focused. This is beautiful, and I absolutely love the words I hear: ready, busy, learning, refreshed. Now, here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like visual images too. So I want you, wherever you are, camera on, camera off, doesn't matter. You might want to turn it on now, because I'd like for you, using your facial expressions, and if your hands are in camera range, I would love for you to make a face that really, honestly describes how you feel about your Toastmaster year so far. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Make your face. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. How awesome. All right, really good. Now look, here's what the other thing I want to know. This is now. What will your face look like at June 30th? What about then? On the count of 3, let's make one more face. I want you to think about now, but then think about June 30th, when you have accomplished everything that you desire. You have had a successful year. What will your face look like? On the count of 3, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's see the face. Ah, that feels good, looks good, feels good. Awesome. Congratulations to each one of you. You know, I absolutely love Toastmasters. And here's why I like our organization. I like it because this is a place where we can both learn and practice. You know, frankly, you could go to many places nowadays. Get your phone, you can go online. There are courses, you can go to face-to-face events. They're virtual, they're recorded. There's tons of learning out there. But something that separates us is this. Not only can you learn, but at Toastmasters, you get to practice. Yeah, you get to really practice being a great person, a great leader, a great teammate. Where else do you get that opportunity? So I ask you this question. How's your practice going this year? How's it really working? For me, I think I have this cool formula that I'd love to introduce you to. Now, put in chat here. Here's a question for you. If I give you a formula that I believe can turn around your Toastmaster club, get it more exciting, and really get the results that you want, and at the same time, once you master this, it could change your life. It can give you more freedom of time, more ability to move about and accomplish the dreams and the goals and the projects that you've long wanted to accomplish. If I gave you this, would you practice it in your Toastmasters club starting now? Let's see. I'm going to go to chat and look just a minute to see what your responses are. I see. Yeah, give it to me. Yes. All right. I don't see enough yeses. Can I count on you? Would you practice this? All right. Somebody said probably. Okay, that's good enough. I can go with that. Well, then with what you've said, on the count of 3, or better still, when I snap my fingers, the practice begins. Now, a few months back, I had the privilege of learning about this really cool book entitled Who, Not How, by authors Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. I read the book and I realized the concepts and the formula in this book were so profound that I began to add them to my life and introduce them to my clients. Today, I want to offer this formula to you and encourage you to jump on the bandwagon, jump on board with employing this formula from Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. It's something like this. How often do you ask yourself how? You know, you take on a new project. Let's just say in your club, you became a president or a VPE, a VPPR, a VPM, a secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms. You've got this new role, maybe your area or division director. You found yourself on the trio and you're super excited. You know exactly what you need to do. And you start your year out. And then you find yourself asking, now, how do I get this done? How do I get new members? And how am I going to keep members? How do I use social media and what is it, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn? How do I do this? And so many hows. You keep asking yourself how, and that's not a problem that you're asking how, except after a while you start thinking, well, I'll get to it later. I'll just watch this TV program, you know, and you get the remote and you start clicking, or you get on the phone and you start chatting with a friend. And before you know it, you start shifting that project, that responsibility to later in the day, later in the week, later in the month. All the hows have caused you to delay. And then the dreaded deadline comes. You know what that's like. It's time for the meeting, it's time for the call, and you realize you're ill prepared. As a matter of fact, you start telling, okay, let's be real, little white lies, you know, I'm sorry, I have a conflict, or I'm not I'm not feeling so well today. Or you blame other people. Oh, my team didn't get it to me, or you didn't explain it to me, or worse still, oh, I'm so stupid. What am I thinking? How do I keep forgetting these things? Quietly, you realize things aren't going as well as you thought. And the truth is, when this happens to most of us, we don't tell other people. We make all kinds of reasons and excuses for not being able to accomplish what we stepped up to. After all, we don't want people to think that we're not capable. We don't want to share our flaws. But you know, I know what it is. I'll go and maybe I just need to get a little bit more organized. I'll put some Post-it notes around and my time management. That's what it is. And you work on that, and then you think, oh, okay, I've got a system in place. I've got this. And you get back to the issues, and you're stuck again. This time, the procrastination gets deeper, and you find yourself putting things off more and more and more. But what if? What if that procrastination is not such a bad thing? Maybe, just maybe, that procrastination is trying to get your attention and tell you something that you're not listening to. You see, when we ask ourselves how is indeed a powerful question. When how is tied to and directly linked to our passions, to the things that we're good at. We ask how, and ideas just pop from everywhere. But what if procrastination is telling us that maybe we're working on projects or tasks that we're ill prepared for? We know what needs to get done, but we don't know how. Maybe, just maybe, we need to find a who does know how. First step is this. It's time to change. That procrastination lets you know that it's time for you to make a shift, not beat yourself up, but simply do something different. And here's what I say all the time and share with my clients and with my Toastmasters colleagues. When you change, everything changes. So, step one, switch your thinking to who, not how. You see, thinking who, why, it opens up all kinds of freedoms for you. Look around the Zoom room now at all the people who are here with you, who may know how, but you don't. What about in your club? Who knows how to manage social media or to recruit new members? Who's really good at analyzing data? You know, there are tons of people around you in your area, in your division. There are people on your job. There are people in other departments. What about your family? There are tons of who know how, and maybe you don't. The question is, are you tapping into it? Now, personally, I like to say, think who, not how first, because everything, and I do mean every single thing, begins with a thought. So it's important for you and I, as you're practicing this formula, to switch your thinking and my thinking, our thinking, from how will I get this done to who can help me get this done. See, when you connect with your who's, it will make a world of difference. You say, well, Netania, that's all good. Well, let me give you an example first. I mentioned the authors, Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. Here's how this story goes. So Dan is on a podcast with another colleague. The colleague comes in, they have some dialogue, and bam, this idea comes up about procrastination. And maybe procrastination is not as bad as it seems. And they thought, wait a minute, it's just simply telling us that we need to be finding other people to do these things that we're ill-equipped to or not even interested in doing. Maybe we should be thinking who, not how. So Dan, who happens to be this really successful entrepreneurial coach, takes this information and this concept back to his team, his cohorts, and starts to teach this material. Well, one of the students is in the audience and thought starts to buzz. At the same time, Dan is thinking, I really could use a who to get this information out into the world. Out of nowhere, this particular student comes up, approaches Dan, and offers to be his who. You know, I'm a budding author, and I would love to write a book about this concept of who, not how. How exciting is that? All of a sudden, Dan has a who. He has a who can help him get this word out into the world. While he could teach it to his cohorts, he wasn't an author, but now he had a who. And now things were going great until Benjamin recognized that he too needed a few who's, because why, he needed an editor and a publisher and people that he could tag team with too. Funny thing is, Benjamin became Dan's who, but Dan became Benjamin's who too. Because here you have an author that doesn't have a story. So they both needed the other. You know, There is someone, some who out there who knows exactly what to do and exactly how to get it done. And they're just waiting for you to get ready and to reach out to them and offer them an opportunity to step in and help you achieve your goals, achieve your desires by bringing in what they're really good at. I suggest to you, number one, switch your thinking. Think who, not how. Now, you started thinking, you know you need to get your who's. You go look for them and you go, I hear you, I know exactly what you're saying. You said, Netania, I've been out there. I have been looking for who's and they keep turning me down. I can't find people. They either come in and they're working and then they disappear. I know. You know, I've heard this so many times before, but hang tight, hang tight. I think what typically happens with people is they jump the gun. Here's what I mean. And you tell me if this sounds like you. You get a new role, you get a new excitement, or maybe an assignment, or you have this wonderful idea. And the first thing you do is you go and build your team. You find lots of people to help work with you and support you. As a matter of fact, when people hear that you have this new role or this new project, they're chomping at the bit to work with you. So they're stepping up and volunteering. And you're super proud because on the onset, your team is in place. That's something you don't have to worry about ever again. Except out of nowhere, the team starts to fall off. People seem disinterested. Their assignments are late. And they're starting to blame you as if you're the problem. And what the heck is going on? Talk about quiet quitting. It starts to happen to you. Now, what if maybe getting that team ahead of time is not the best direction to go in? What if you were to slow down? You see, I think it's time now to shift to step 2. And that is to get crystal clear on your what and why first. You see, people will follow you when they know what their role is, what your desires are, what the end result will look like. Your job, before you even bring your team on board, is to pause and ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish? And why am I trying to accomplish this? What will it look like in the end? Because when you start to sell to who's, that's what they want to know. They want to know, where are you going to take them and how will you get there? So pause, ask yourself a few questions to get crystal and get a lot of clarity for yourself as to where you're going. And once you do that, some magic will happen. You see, you'll begin to internalize exactly what you need to do. The enthusiasm will build, and every time you talk to a possible who about what it is you're trying to accomplish, they're going to get as excited as you and on board. So now you've got your who, your idea, you're crystal clear about where you need to go. The next thing you need to do now that you backed up, change it up, got your plan, is to find and engage your who's. So what do I mean by that? When you find and look for your who's, you want to be as excited as you can about your vision. You want to help them to understand what is the course, what's your plan strategy, and what it will look like when you get to the end. What's going to be different? What is the impact going to be on your club, on the district, on the world? Maybe it's some book or some project, some idea you've been trying to personally birth. What will it look like in the end? Now, once you find your who's, oh wait, before you even find them, let me just say that it's okay to tell some people no. Not everyone is going to be aligned with what it is you're trying to accomplish. And because you became crystal clear about your plan, you know exactly the type of who's you're looking for. So if you have to tell someone no, it's okay. They will want then to go and attach to the right person so that they can find their way on the team. Now, once you have found your who's, it is so important that you get them engaged. You see, you brought your who's on because you didn't know how they do. So make space for your who's. Go and evaluate yourself and figure out, am I creating enough space for the people that I bring onto my teams to help me with these projects, with these assignments, with my role? Am I giving them enough leverage? Am I trusting their judgment? Am I allowing them to shine and work in their gifts and talents and skills? Or am I overshadowing them? Remember, you were procrastinating because you couldn't figure out how. Make sure that there's a good feedback loop. So when they have a question, why they're able to ask you. Always, always share the end result. Talk about the vision. Talk about where you're headed. Keep your who's excited. Look, if you practice these 3 things, first, thinking about your who's, starting to switch to think who, not how. If you then, let's go back to these so you can see them. I want you to, if you switch your thinking from who, not how, get crystal clear on your what and why, and start looking for your who's with excitement, finding them, and then engaging with them, staying close. I guarantee your club, your district, and your world will change. And once you master these things, you too will find freedom of time, extra money. You'll be able to then work in your passion, be able to work on the things that you desire most. So when you ask yourself how, ideas just flourish. But moreover, whatever that project is, whatever that assignment is, all of a sudden it gets done exponentially better. Think who, not how. Remember this, when you change, everything changes. Think who, not how. I'm Netania Walker, past region advisor for Toastmasters International and performance coach at the War Group. More than anything, if you do this, I guarantee you, I'll see you at the top. With that, back to you, Dorothy.
Thank you, Netania. Everyone, please join me in giving Netania a big round of applause. Netania, how inspiring. I know that you have moved me tremendously.